Hi, I'm Marla Beth. Welcome to Angelic Realms, Pulse to Consciousness. How high are you? And Lea Anne, I wanted to ask you, how high are you?
Well, it depends on the day. Um,
Okay,
when
this
when
show
you're
is about
asking
it's about consciousness,
consciousness, yeah,
right? We're not
sometimes,
really high. We're just high
right?
in consciousness.
I do wonder, because every time we take higher steps in consciousness, or we think that we've gotten a concept, for instance, the outer world will show us some challenges to say, hey, do you really get this? Do you really have it? Are you really down? And it's a lot of fun. So the answer to that question is, I'm not sure. It depends on which
Right,
category you're
right,
talking about. That's so
right.
funny. Yeah, I was listening to a Bashar recording, and he was saying how when you decide that you're not going to think something anymore, you're not going to do something anymore, it's talking about alternate realities and things like that, then you sort of jump into a new timeline where what you're not going to do anymore doesn't even exist. You like you step through a threshold, and now you're in a new room.
Mhm.
And I've been doing that with a lot of aspects of my life, but then the universe will throw me a curveball and say, are you really in this new room? Or are you bringing some of the things? Did you pack some bags with you before you walk through the threshold? So I'm doing a lot of clearing right now that is actually getting me more high, raising the consciousness even more. But that's what I'm working on is cleaning up my thoughts, cleaning up the habits, and cleaning up anything that doesn't serve me, so that I can move forward in with more grace and ease in life. That is my thing, is to have greater amounts of joy. And how when you make a decision to not think anything anymore, or not feel anything anymore, or not do anything anymore, it's like you step through a threshold. You step through like another timeline. So you're in another room, and if you will, you're in it. It's almost as if you don't bring it with you once you cross through the threshold into this like new reality, then in this new space that you've entered into, the thing that you stopped doing never existed in this reality. And so, yeah, like you're literally changing the past. And I'm kind of getting schooled on this, because um, as I'm letting go of things, little things keep coming back in to say, well, did you let it go? And uh, so I'm like, well, yeah, I'm pretty sure I left it behind me in the room back there, but like some things actually did make it through the threshold. And I love how the universe, the consciousness around us, and the consciousness that emanates from us offers us checks and balances as we go through our day, and as we evolve. You're constantly being tested. And so
Mhm.
in some areas, yeah, I feel like I'm really high and doing really well. And then in some areas, they're a little bit more challenging, because it's like maybe people are involved, and you interact with those people, for instance. And you can't, I don't know, for me, I can't just cut people off. But
And
yeah, it's
you can't cheat energy, because
yeah,
when you hold on to those things that keep you in alignment and in check and balances, it leaves a trail of energy, and so that energy will come back if it's more stronger. So that's because I look at everything as a perspective of energy. So if that something's weighing heavy on your heart and you haven't gone through that work to decipher why you do things, and you're not stopping a pattern, it's a different type of electrotonal energy and magnetic field. So it's going to come back until you figure it out. Because once that
yeah,
situation is resolved, then it changes the frequency.
exactly. And then you actually do walk into the next room, leaving the other reality behind as if it
Right.
never interested.
And I just got chills. So it resonates.
Right.
So you can't manipulate it to get out of something. It's going to be there. And this is part of why I wanted to do this show with you of and we've been brainstorming for months to do this. And I wanted to do a play on words on how high are you, right? To get, I just think it's kind of, I'm always coming up with crazy ideas, and do I put them to in production? I try to as much as humanly possible, because we're created to be creators. And so part of us doing this co-creatorship is part of the law of one. And so getting back to the name, I remember that video of this woman who was getting high in her car, and she's getting pulled over by the cops, and an officer, and he says, "Hi, how high, how high are you?" Because she's getting high in her car, and she's like, "Oh, hi, how high are you?" Like, so nice. He's asked this cops to pull me over just to see how I am. I'm sure many people have seen it. So I don't know. It was a play on words. And really what it was is I want to know, I want to see how high people's consciousness, where are people in their consciousness? Because since we're in ascension, it's really important to raise our consciousness. As we raise our consciousness, we are creating cellular healing, because you're opening up your light body to allow that, what I just said, that frequency to come through for healing to happen. And as we do that, our fire codes, we have these fire codes in our body, they start repairing, and then they can connect, on different dimensions. And we've talked about this so many times. We've had so many amazing conversations, and I'm like, I wish we were recording this right now, because it's hard to go backwards in time. So now we're
Right.
here right now in the present. And I want to pull up some of the dialogue that we've had in past conversations, because they were so good. And I think they'll be beneficial for people, that they can use this in their everyday life, and working through their own situations, whether they make appointments with us or not. And by the way, I didn't do a proper introduction. This is Lea Anne Carroll. Lea Anne and I work together, and we work together with people's energy fields. We decided to combine and do co-creatorship in our actual energy work. So we amplify people's manifestations for health, or what they want, or healing. And so Lea Anne and I know how to hack the system of how to manipulate with energy, because there's a science behind it. And Lea Anne was in my workshop. And so again, welcome, Lea Anne. I wanted to make that introduction so people know who you are and how talented you are. You're skilled in so many areas, and you're such a beautiful, beautiful indigo. Lea Anne and I are both indigos.
We've been
No
here a
doubt.
while.
We've been,
Okay, so
yeah,
I want to go back to something that you had mentioned earlier, where we can raise our frequencies and heal ourselves.
yes.
And I want to, this is something that we really haven't talked about yet. I've just seen photos, but you have a recent experience with photographs and proof
Yeah.
of what it looks like when you actually heal yourself with frequency.
Right. So I tried a product. It's called Black Sap. Is that what you're talking about?
Was it the product, or was it your mat and your humming and raising your frequency?
I'm going to explain. So I tried this product on Saturday, and I didn't the YouTube channel to research this before I use it. I only knew a little bit about it. So I didn't really go deep diving. I didn't know what I was getting into. I made a mistake. And so, but through this mistake, I've learned so much. So this is probably why I did it. So I use this thing called Black Sab, and it has DMSO in it. And so I have the spot on my nose and a spot on my leg that the dermatologist, I paid $500 to have it, frozen off, and it never went away. And to go back, it would have been another 500. There's no guarantee that it's going to work. And I'm like, oh, forget it. And it's this constant peeling. It just constantly keeps peeling. And I've tried a lot of different homeopathic treatments. So I saw this black salve, and so I tried it, and it's black, and then you put a Band-Aid on it, and you test it out to make sure it's okay. And then the next day you reapply one more little bit, and I use a Q-tip. And then I saw it, and I'm like, oh, what did I do? Oh my God, I have a visitor coming in a week and a half. And I'm like, I can't look like, I'm like, I screwed up so bad. That's where I'm like, why didn't I do research? So I'm like, oh my God. And I can't pick it off. I just knew that if I started messing with it, I'm going to cause a big problem. Then by day two, it had like a pustule, and then I pushed on it and it released. And then I covered it with some of the ointment because this product came with an ointment and it was all natural. The next day, I believe it's called an ashgar. It's like a scab, but it's really deep. That came off, and it was like maybe 2 millimeters or 3 mil. It was deep
It
when it
was a
came off.
deep divot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it
was a
was a
big.
pretty deep divot.
Yeah, and
Hmm.
I'll post pictures here and so people can see it. So I decided to make a little journal with it. So I had day two, day three, or day two with the divot. You saw a picture of it with that the pustule inside. I should send you that picture. Then it
Yeah.
released, and then the scab came off, and then the divot. So from the divot to 24 hours, I don't have a divot anymore.
It closed up and healed amazingly fast.
And I didn't do pulsed electromagnetic field the last day and a half. I didn't. I don't think I did it last night. I was too tired, but I did it with my dogs, so I did get a little bit. So the frequency I ran was D12, Maharic shielding, and the Akasha, and I did singing. So my songs and constant positive thoughts and a little bit of ointments. I did I take a parasite cleanse. It's called Paragard. I did put a little bit of that on there because it's all homeopathic. It's all natural. And I do my supplements like I normally do. So I skipped really, I did a little bit of sound bowls, but I still have that in my system because those things still stay.
Yeah.
And I also did my class, my son's class. So I have frequency running through me all the time. This is so it healed really fast. The whole point of this conversation is that the frequency within ourselves, that we can heal ourselves with frequency. And seriously, you don't technically need to have other technology because you don't have a device. You don't have pulse electromagnetic fields. You don't have any devices, do you, Lea Anne?
Not electric devices. No, I just have sound, natural sound bowls and tuning forks, but I don't work with devices. I mean, I'd like to. I just haven't.
And your frequency is high.
Yeah, yeah.
Very high. But people that don't have a device, it's okay. And you can get devices that are more affordable, like your tuning
Yeah.
fork
Yeah,
or
any
sound
voice can be
bowls.
a device. Like I started doing a lot of humming. Like I learned the humming from you really. And I did it when I was younger. And teenagers do it. Like I teach teenagers, um, we do this little camp every year, and I teach them little things about crystals, their energy, whatever it is that they're, most of them are kind of in these types of subjects anyway, so I don't want to teach them anything that they already know. I take what they
Mhm.
know and expand them from there. But like in those, the kids that I teach, that there's four of them, and they hum by themselves. They sit and they hum in meditation, and it's like that guttural grunt hum. Like, wow, I mean, kids are being born with this.
What age group are they?
um I think when I started with them they were 14, so they're 15, 16 now.
And they have the hum like I hum, where it's not like it's not
Yeah, it's
pretty.
more subtle. It's like that kind of hum.
Yeah.
It's not humming like like you're having a good day. It's that guttural hum. It's like you can really feel the vibration. They hum and they feel the vibration in their chest, and it helps them with anxiety.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
guess that's that reminds me of that tapping. Have you ever done tapping before?
Yes,
Where it's
it works. It's like
a reset?
it's like a redo of your nervous system. You know, there's different tapping points, emotional freedom technique, and it's really effective, especially when you're trying to get past a point, especially when you're in a high anxiety point
Hmm.
and you can't like frequency yourself out of it. You have to kind of, I know this is really difficult situation right now. I'm doing the best that I can. I know that things always work out for me. When I do make steps forward, I see that things do get easier. And I know that it's always been that way throughout my entire life. And I think that if I just had some relaxation right now, I know that it would go back to that. And I know that I can release, I know that I can relax and allow my life to flow. Things like that. Just you're just telling yourself, did I do that rhythm right? I think you're supposed to do the armpit before the thymus,
So
and
there's
then
an order.
it depends on your order. There's a science in the order of the tapping, but you're saying affirming things. I mean, you're affirming that what you're anxious about is in your belief system, and it's there. And but you're also tapping it out. You're calming that. You're gently flipping that in your nervous system, that viewpoint, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
I'm looking at it energetically. I evaluate everything energetically. They're shifting the energies.
Yeah,
You're opening points in your body with the tapping to get a flow, to
yeah.
get it going. Because when you have to release an emotional response when you're stuck in something.
Yeah. And
And
think about, we were talking about J seals and stuff like that.
yeah.
A lot of it's J seals points.
Oh, on the left side then, because you're doing the left side.
And
So these J seals that were able to release the Jehovian seals that they put in us at birth to keep us from ascension. It's to keep us from ascending, which are connected to the grids. So it's connected to the APINS, which is the Atlantean Pylon Implant System. Now we have an APINS, and then we have an LPINS, which is, I believe, the Lemurian.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so it's and that is not the only implant.
Oh no,
So
there's layers of them. I mean, there's a lot
right.
of there's a lot of layers to make sure, and it goes with layers, just like you
Hmm.
said, in our reality grid. Once you begin to break through the layers within yourself, then you begin to break through the layers in the reality grid. And there's
That's
always,
right.
stuff coming at you to kind of bring you back. And so you have to
Right.
you have to stay high.
Right, because we're working with one level always above us.
Hmm.
And so as we accrete with the ascension, we're going up, we're going down, we go up and then go down. It's like you make a little headway and then you fall back, and then you make more headway and you fall back. It's kind of like it's because I feel energetically we're trying to get our systems used to this because it's so
Hmm.
much frequency. If you have when we get these codes coming in, our bodies can only handle so much. I'm internally vibrating, and then when it subsides a little bit, I'm like, what's going on? I miss my frequency. I need more frequency. And just organically your body will adjust to what it needs at that time as we're getting coded in. Have you ever sat in your room when you wake up, you look up? I have a mirror and it reflects from a window in my bathroom, and I can see the sun. So if I'm just looking at it, I can't see the ray of the sun coming in. But if I squint my eyes, I have a sun ray coming into my window, reflecting to a mirror, and then here's my bed. So it's like this. I'm getting a sun ray in the morning
Oh,
coming at me through a
nice.
reflection from a mirror, and I can squint my eyes and I can actually see it. I'm wondering, there's got to be something with that. Do you have a mirror in your room that with a window?
Mm-mm, I don't,
Do you have a
but I'd like
window?
to.
I'm just curious because I just, when I wake up, I look at it and go, what is going on with that? You know, there's something to be said. And I've sent you pictures of my home because I have so many items without even knowing when I bought things that it's associated with what we study, which is Keylontic Science, the study of light and sound and frequency and magnetics and electrics and the Cathara grid. So these are words I'm throwing at people because we're going into a futuristic time. This information that we're learning right now is going to be coming out. It's already out. It's with an abundance of wealth of information because that Terrence guy, I can't remember his last name. I messed. It's not Williams. It's Terrence. He started talking about frequency and energy. He's kind of thrown that red pill out. And what he is really talking about is Partakai. And
Hmm.
Partakai is everything. It's the point of the unici. So when I go into consciousness, I can't help but not go into Partakai. It just goes hand in hand. And I have been chastised. Oh, Partakai this, you're a hippie, yeah. And no, Partakai is science, actually. You know, it is the science. It is the breakdown of a particle. It's the smallest unit of consciousness. It's the creation. It's a beginning creation of us. So I want to bring that to the forefront of people's conversation and talking about it, because if we didn't have that, if we didn't have a name for it,
Yeah, but
this is
it's
a
also infused
name.
with a purpose and a sound.
Oh,
It's
big purpose. Yeah.
yeah, just like we are. It's as above, so below.
Yes, because we have multiples.
Yes,
There's doubles of everything.
or I think there's more than one. I don't know. Someone was asking me about this, and you may not want to go here, but I've been
Bring it
meaning to
on.
ask you this on the phone. And a lot of what you're talking about is new to me in the way that it's being presented. And okay, so there's 15 dimensions, right? There's
Yes,
five like harmonic universes with three levels within each.
right.
And it's almost as if we come into this reality platform and we land there. We go through the harmonic and light grids, and we like attune our purpose for coming in there, and then we begin to come down from there, and then we begin to split our energy into these harmonic universes.
Yes, that's
And
soul stepping. That's the stairway to heaven creation of
yeah.
coming into your soul. Yeah. Continue.
And we stair step down. So as we go down, and once we arrive here, we still exist on all these other levels.
Hmm.
We're still there. And it's like the lower levels are coming up to reach the higher levels. And once all the energy is collected back to the beginning in the 15th dimension, that's when that's when you're done, right? It's kind of like that's kind of how I see it, where um, just like our you have a monadic self and then you have a
Hmm.
high self,
Hmm.
right? And each version of you has a high self, and the monadic self has 12 high selves, has 12 incarnations going on at one time, right? And it gets into that twin flame thing. And when we incarnate, I mean, it starts to blow you away. Someone was asking me about this, and she just hit play, and I just explained it the way that I see it because she wanted to hear me say. And then I thought, I need to run this by Marla. And I thought, well, why not today, in front of God and everyone? But okay, so each individual that is, and each version of you in each has that
Mhm.
high self,
Right.
and your incarnation has you come in with 12 energies around you that is your team in spirit. You don't just incarnate by yourself. I mean, you don't have to come in with 12. You can pick 5 of your best guys, but these aspects of yourself are everything is just you. That's
Mhm.
your team in spirit is actually you, and like all these other incarnations that are incarnated along with you in this reality platform, as in this time stream, that those are technically you. And then it's like when you're finished, let's see.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah. So with what I've learned, okay, so we have a 15-dimensional time matrix.
mhm,
And like you said, we have our 5 harmonic universes, and in
mhm.
each universe, or they also call them densities, and
Yeah,
in each density or universe, there's
yeah, and they all have their
three.
set of rules, and it's like they're like levels up in a game.
Well, there's actual names for selves, and it's beneficial because once you get to a specific self, you become the Christos avatar, and this is part of our mission, is the Christos realignment mission.
Mhm,
And each self, like the in harmonic universe 1, we have our self, our incarnate self, and then we have the harmonic universe 2 is self, and then harmonic universe 3 is the oversoul.
mhm,
Harmonic 4 is the avatar Christos self, and then the 5th harmonic universe, which is the primal light fields, that's your rishi body.
mhm,
And each self has currents,
mhm,
and within each current there's different polarities, and
mhm,
within these polarities are different forms of the way the particle spins, which is
mhm,
called the angular rotation of a particle spin, which is partikai. So
mhm,
based on your partikai,
mhm.
you're getting into partikai, which previously I said they're the smallest units of consciousness, your consciousness of yourself. So like you said, these are levels of self. I just wanted to
Mhm.
break it down for the viewers so
Mhm.
they
Oh
have an
yeah,
actual construct, because it
right.
gets so confusing for people. There's a construct and there's actual names to put them in place. Okay. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to, and not only that, each construct in each level, we
They
have
have.
our
I was going to say
DNA.
that they
Oh, go
have.
ahead.
Yeah, they have magnetic fields around them to contain them in that reality with its own set of rules, right?
Well, right. Well, so Earth is a particum.
Yeah.
So I have to go backwards because our viewers just won't know what particum is. So
Okay.
particle is the smallest unit of a particle, and then it breaks down into subparticles, which is particum and particle. And particum has a certain way because it's magnetic, and particle has a certain way because it's electric. Now, when they break down, that's where your twin comes in with your parallel Earth. One goes to one side and one goes to the other. So magnetic is Earth, and the polarity of electric goes to parallel Earth, and we are ourselves. We have another self at parallel Earth. But as we go up in ascension, we are hitting and going back and forth in different higher levels of self with our incarnates. And our incarnates are also our past lives. And so we are doing healing as we go up. And as it indigos, we're pulling the work for others. We are healing when Leanne and I work together, we're not only healing ourselves, we're healing you guys too. You guys may be clueless about this, but we technically really are. Because everyone had, because if you take the law of one, we're all one.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
And
true. That's
so
true.
I just need to give the viewers a breakdown of what Paracate really was. And it goes really deep. And I just need to get the basics out. I go really deep when I do my workshops. You get to get the mechanics of it.
Yeah.
And I
But
just,
you're essentially lining up with all of those aspects of yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hands
And then,
down. That's why this is why the ascension, it's so hard. It's so
yeah.
hard on us. It's very emotional. You're pulling in other selves to heal.
Mm-hmm.
You got
And
your past life, your present life, your future life, because there's future selves also.
right.
So you
It's
mentioned
everything that's
three.
happening now.
Mm-hmm. Well, and time is so linear. It's just it's dense on Earth. The weight is very dense. Some days you feel lighter. You can handle things. You're just not you just kind of let go and give it to the universe. And I didn't say uterus. You let go and give it to the
Just
uterus.
give it to the uterus. Save the drama for mama.
Let go and give it to the universe. When you have days where you can just let go, you are at peace.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
put,
and
yeah.
that's really what we're all trying to be. And I'm noticing too that everyone that I'm talking with, we both see a lot of podcasts and read a lot of blogs, and it's all about becoming more. It's like it's like that energy can be seen in everyday life by you wanting more out of your life, and you're wanting more out of life. You're wanting to do more, offer more. It's not natural to live the lives that we live, the way that our
Mm-hmm.
our world is set up. And so it's like there's this undercurrent of yearning, and people are actually moving in directions that are we're all finding ways to become more, and to hold more joy, and to release what we don't need. I mean, it's more now than I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It's people are they want a purpose. People are trying to find their purpose. People are asking, like, people are waking up, is what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And everybody has their own time vector of when their codes are kicking in. So I
Hmm.
know in the very beginning, wake up, wake up, wake up. We're pushing people to wake up. And then I don't know about you, but I backed off on pushing people because they had, if everybody woke up at the same time, we'd have mass chaos. Because waking up, you need integration. You
Hmm.
need someone to hold your hand, because it's a very lonely process when you start getting rid of things that don't serve that purpose. It can be a very
It's
lonely
very
path.
aggravating too. Think about it, because when you're waking up spiritually, you're waking up in the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you grew up with all of these lies. And you have to, it's like, man, I sat there for 12 or 13 years, day after day, and was in trouble if I didn't go, just to just to be told all this stuff that isn't true.
Right.
And it has to be, my nephew is going through that. It's it's a thing. I went through that. It's a thing. It's like not only that, you're aggravated, and then you get like the steps of awakening, and then you get mad at people that when they don't wake up, because if you would only wake up too, we wouldn't have this. And then you
Mm-hmm.
lose all your friends, and then you begin to really relax, because you realize that the aggravation isn't helping you. It isn't helping
Mm-hmm.
anything, so you just sort of throw your hands up and just
Right.
let things be. Yeah, and the more you grow, the more you realize you just have to let people be where they are,
Right.
because you do understand the perfection of things.
Mm-hmm.
And if it wasn't perfectly as it is, then um I mean, for you, how would you know? Like, you're not the orchestrator of the universe. And
Well,
that's
I was just thinking about that yesterday while I was driving to do errands. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I wasn't awake, I would have not known the difference. You wouldn't know the difference
Yeah.
until your timer went off and dinged in your head and gave you a little bitch slap. What was that? What happened?
Yeah.
Who just
It's
pulled the rug out from underneath me and I just hit my head and I'm like, okay, this is not the same thing I thought it was. What? I've been lied to?
yeah.
I've been doing everything I've been told to. I go to the doctor, I get a mammogram, I get my colonoscopy, I get my vaccine, my jabs. I have to watch my language here because this is going to go to different areas. I do everything I'm supposed to do, everything I'm told to do. Wait a minute. What if I didn't do something I was told to do? What would the consequence be? There are consequences to waking up. The consequences, you get to know who you are, your real true self. And it's a good consequence. The consequence is that you end up being a conduit for energy. Your consciousness expands and you grow and you help others. Because what we're really are doing is when people do try to help others to wake up, it's because they love you. And when you do what you're told, you don't see it as like that. It's the opposite. Like you said, did you just say earlier something about opposites? It was like it was backwards. Like you mentioned something. It was, or maybe you
mm,
didn't. Maybe my perception of what you said, I went into like everything is opposite, everything's
oh,
upside down.
yeah, everything is upside down. Everything.
Yeah.
It's like it's the disclosure is in all kinds of shows, like in Netflix, the Stranger
Mhm.
Things. It's like they're
Oh
living in the
yeah.
upside down.
We are in a sci-fi movie.
We
and
are.
yeah, and part of my consequences is that I got rid of a lot of people in my life, and they were lovely people, really great people, and I'm starting to reintegrate them back into my life.
Yeah, you do that sometimes too. It's just some things. It's like there's this like inner dialogue when you hear things or see things in the outer world, or when you're listening to conversation, you have this different interpretation of what's being said, and that's unique. And there's not a lot of people. I mean, actually, today it's a lot greater than it ever has been. But historically, there's not a lot of people that you can talk with. I mean, I my coding activated in 1987 with harmonic convergence. And really, back then, there wasn't a whole lot of people to talk with at all.
Leanne,
And
can you tell our viewers what harmonic convergence was? Because some of our viewers have no clue what that is.
it was a astrological alignment that brought in the new age in 1987. It was in August. It's interesting how these alignments happen in Leo, isn't it? Um, and there's all this Leo symbolism everywhere too, which is interesting. And
That's your
knowing how to read
Anahazi,
symbols,
right? Is that what you're
yeah,
referring to as Anahazi?
or yeah, but yeah, there was an alignment, and it's with a lot of astrological locations are to activate. I mean, we're technically in an energy machine. We are. And when the setting is like this, then you get this result. These will get that. And it's like when you everyone pretty much by now has seen a plate that it has like water or lycopodium spores or sand or something on it. You play a note, and the particles scramble to make a pattern, and then when the note changes, then the particles scramble again. There's disorganization and chaos until the harmony is solid,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that new perfect pattern. So I think that's one thing that the planets around us do, that they're harmonic patterns, or they create, they're harmonic influences, and they create harmonic patterns that affect our harmonic pattern when within us. And we just have, like you said, coding that wakes up within us. And it was so strange. I was 20 years old, or 22 or 23. I think I was 23. And I knew that because Ronald Reagan was president, and we just come out of the 70s, high inflation. Everything went from, it's funny how each decade is just really marked, and that is also influenced too. The 60s, the 50s. Think about how different the 50s were from, say, the 40s. And it's also, they're 10 years apart. But in the 80s, Reagan was president and kind of went back on a lot of the taxes, and released a lot of money. And so there was all this money, and things were easier in the 80s. The white shirt, the ties, the jackets, the business, the short haircuts, and the electronic music. And it's all about, it was all about, for me, I was young, and so it was all about business and stability, and it was all about,
Well, time
there were a
periods.
lot of drugs. That there were
Mhm.
the 80s were really crazy. But the end of the 80s, it's superficial is what I was actually leading to. If I could identify what it all led to, was like a materialistic superficialism, or more of that, versus living free and love and all of that.
Do you think these are all
Anyway,
planned? The all of it is set for a reason? Do you think it's all
yeah,
planned? It's all planned
yeah.
out.
It
And
really is.
same with movements. A lot of movements are planned.
Oh yeah.
It's a tactic.
Right, right. And like women's lib was,
Hmm.
just all these things. And it's all orchestrated for a purpose, right? And
And it's
for a result.
multifaceted.
Hmm. Yeah. But
It's
but it was hard with all that going on. There wasn't a whole lot of depth. There wasn't a whole lot of personal. And the 90s were just kind of, Hay House was really big with, Wayne Dyer, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson, and the spiritual leaders kind of came out a lot through the Hay House platform. I was a sales rep, and I traveled mostly in my car. And like I would travel like distances, and a lot of times I could fly, but I had so much stuff with me.
Did you
And I
sell
listened to books.
vacuums? I'm just kidding.
No, right? I
Hoover
sold vitamins and
vacuums.
herbs. I was I was the snake oil lady. But
Well, I knew it was vitamins, but kind of like, remember the Fuller brush man?
yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know how I got my first car? I sold encyclopedias door to
Oh
door.
my God.
Yeah.
Was the Fuller brush man, was that encyclopedias? I have no idea. I just remember growing up with the Fuller brush man. I don't know. They come door to door selling all this stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I think
Remember Avon
encyclopedia. Yeah.
and Tupperware was like that. There were a lot of
Yeah.
things.
My parents were
Um,
into Amway.
Amway, yeah.
Yeah. It's so great though. I mean, there's something so carefree like back then because we were younger and less responsibility. I don't know how you were brought up, but um did you have oh no, you had to take care of your siblings, didn't you?
No, I
I,
was kind of a rebel.
were you? Okay. I
Yeah.
thought you'd had to take care of some siblings there too. I don't know. I recall.
I
Maybe
just
they
had to take care of myself.
oh, that's good.
Yeah. Which I did a floundering job. But I'm stable now. Yeah, I did and like I don't like to do things very long. Like, I don't like to I don't like a whole lot of repetition in
Hmm.
life. day to day, and I can do that for about a year, 3 at tops. And so I did a lot of changing, and that's why being a sales rep was so perfect for me, because I could go into different markets and talk to different people and do different things.
Were you doing
But
Reiki at that point?
no, but you know, when I was a child, I pretended like I could do it.
Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder if that was a memory because you
maybe.
inherently kind of knew, or did you see it in a show or something? How did you?
It had to have been a memory. And you know what other thing I did is I wanted my mom to understand me. I wanted to understand her. Yeah, I
Mhm.
was just one of four. And I wanted more depth in my relationship with my mom. So I would like close my eyes, count to 10, and I would pretend like she and I were mind melding, and
That's
we could
really
exchange
amazing.
information. I could tell her what I feel like, and she could tell
Wow.
her what she feels like, and I could do what I needed to do to make her life easier, and vice versa. But we never came together.
Did you
I
ever
mean,
talk to her about this?
no, I never did. I
Because
never
that
did.
I always have this thing, like if it's actually in your thoughts, if you're actually thinking it, there's got to be a reason for it. Why would
There's
a
a
thought
memory.
it's a memory, or is it something from parallel you're pulling in? It's a past life memory that you had with your mom, because our parents are being an indigo, our parents did made a contract also to host our souls, to host us.
Mhm.
So I would think that was for sure a memory, because we have those capabilities of mental telepathy.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And they're waking up in the population,
Hmm.
they're waking up that those abilities. But we're taught to question it.
Is your
And
mom, is she here alive with
no,
us?
not anymore.
Do you ever feel her sensor or anything?
Yeah, she talked to me a lot, and she showed me, actually, she shared her spiritual journey with me after her transition. So I got to kind of see
Wow.
what she was doing. And because you go through a holographic review of your life, and
Mm-hmm.
not only do you see what energy comes from you, you get to see the ripple effect of it. And
Right.
there one time I was getting a message, and I could tell, I'm like, I know that it's you. And I had something of hers like on my counter, and I heard, and at the same time my hand grabbed it. Grab that. So because it had her frequency on it. And so when I picked it up, the message came through really clear. But yeah, she oh, and I was working on people. I was working on a client one time. It was pretty soon after it's hard to say, but like I could tell the very first time she really talked to me, when I was working with the client. She goes, oh, so this is what you do.
So she knew, because I mean, she can see things now with her
Yeah.
consciousness. For our viewers who are clueless about, like, oh, we're talking about people who have passed and we have a connection with that. It's because the your consciousness is still alive. Your
Yeah, your
consciousness,
consciousness is infinite.
it's
Yeah,
infinite. It
no matter what state it's in,
Mhm.
it's infinite, and it's there. And it remembers. It's like waking up from a dream. You're not, it depends on the density, I think, because I have run across those that have an opinion about, what's happening here. And I don't think that those have it. If your consciousness makes a full transition, you wouldn't have an opinion. And if there is still attachment, and a lot of times someone will come into a session, a loved one, that I can feel just is attached, or there's an attachment to the client, and they just need that separated so that
Mhm.
they can like move on. And then I can tell, you can kind of tell the place that they're coming from. I mean, I'm not an expert, and I don't claim to be a medium, but when it's needed in the session, or when it's applicable, or when it's important, it'll come through.
Mm-hmm.
And from that experience, I can kind of tell where they are. And my mom really blessed me, kind of showing me her process. And so it kind of
Mm-hmm.
helped me kind of gauge where these other people are. I
And some
mean,
is,
more accurately.
and if one is able to do this with their higher selves, you could do a lot of healing when you connect at these levels, because you can have a understanding of where they came from. Excuse me, because a lot of people that have troubles with family members, if you look at things that are projected onto you because of their pain and suffering, it's usually not an attack onto you per se. It's how they are perceiving things and how they use their filtration system, and so they project onto you. I'll give you an example, okay? And history plays a part in this. My dad and his siblings grew up with parents that grew up in the Depression era. So history plays a big role on people's genetics and holding on to cellular memory. And so when it's transferred from their genetics from, let's say, the Depression era, during the Depression era, they were feast or famine, right? A lot, and so the heart chakra was closed. That energy point, the heart's closed. So that means they're doing fight or flight. They're just trying to survival mode. And so that goes into your cellular DNA. And then when you have a child, that child gets it too. So I had a family member, I'm not going to say who or what, because if my family watches this, I don't want them to feel bad because I care about my family. But I was told one time that don't love your child too much. And I was like, what? And I'm like, I waited my whole life to have my child. I'm going to love my child. I don't think that's really what she meant to say. She meant to say is, I didn't get enough love. And love is foreign to me. And she technically probably really needed the love, but didn't know how to do it. And so then you can have more sympathy. So people that are having issues with their family members and things like that, and they're holding on to cords. And when we break these cords, when we do our work, they can release it and look at it from a different perspective. And when you have that connection on the heavenly realms, you're not being judged because we're all one. We're just trying to understand, because we look at things so linear, so streamlined without different levels. And the levels are really about healing energetic levels. So when we connect in these sessions, when we do healing, you're letting go so you can break these curses in your family, and you don't carry it on to your generations, your children, because you'll project just like they projected onto you. I'm sorry, I just had to just break it down a little bit, because it's so important for our viewers to have an understanding, because some people are just in the very beginning of their awakening. Maybe they're not even awakened yet, and they don't have an idea of, wait a minute, I'm going through all this pain and suffering and I don't need to. I'm holding on to their shit. Yeah, you are. Whoops, my hole puncher just fell down. I hit my desk and pop goes my hole puncher. So that's interesting, right? The hole puncher. They don't mean to punch holes in you.
That's true.
It's up to you to heal those holes.
That and ancestral genetics and genetic memory is really interesting, and I work with it too. And I do this thing where you call in the ancestors and for the purpose of remedy and resolve, and ask them to assist you in clearing your energy, your DNA coding, the coding that existed in your body before you got here. And but because oh, anyway, I don't want to get off topic. I was about to go left. And think about all the contracts. You can have a
Mhm.
contract with poverty. You can have a contract with loan with home ownership or the ability to own property. There can be chastity or vows, or there could be there could be, if someone in your lineage gave their homage, gave their life to, say, a crown or a crest, a family crest, then that contract goes. If somebody, cursed you, I mean, there's so much more. And you can have contracts with alcohol, drugs,
Amazing.
the way that women are treated. The girl's dad, he owned me, like, as a man that had like a contract to own a woman.
Hmm.
That back then they bought women and had them, be their wives. But like, for some reason, like, I had this weird energy around him. I just kind of put my head down and just kind of did this relationship with him. And like, I eventually found out that it was based on old contracts that didn't even exist in this lifetime. And I was able to find them and release them.
That
But
is
so, I mean,
amazing.
we're releasing contracts and vows all the time. Whenever somebody says something to you and it hurts you and you believe it, not only is an imprint made in your energy that then has a voice, has a role, has a frequency that attracts situations to you that prove that to be true. It gets into your beliefs, and it can enter into your coding, which then can be passed down. It's just little things. I mean, just the the church, war, duty, it's all in there. Like, um how women are treated, it kind of went back to that. And woman, the female ownership. Like, I went through a lot of work in that area, just clearing out my own genetics, which I
Because
thought
you
was really interesting.
can you go deeper on that? Are you okay to go deeper on these contracts that you had on you?
Well, yeah, I mean, the Catholic religion, for instance, you're baptized and brought into the church. Your parents offer the baby to the church, to the community, and
Isn't
it
that
seems
amazing?
really, yeah, it seems really innocent. And then you go through these sacraments, and then you're eventually an adult in the church, and then you go through flesh and blood ritual that gives your the church authority to control your soul, to have your soul, to use your light. And it's not what we're told, and those are very deep contracts. In some areas, some societies are still in those deep contracts. Like, just anywhere the Pope goes and the whole population goes absolutely nuts. Those are the populations that need this clearing too. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, but we need to, actually, it really is. But it can be, you can see it as something innocent,
That's exactly what I
every,
was going to say.
yeah. And
People,
but the more you wake up, the more you understand, the broader sense of what it actually is. And then you can break those contracts within yourself
right.
and free yourself, because those are forms of bondage in your soul signature frequency and its expression and its freedom.
And
And really, that's what we're going for.
can some of this be stopping some of those traditions that have been carried on with those contracts per se? Stop. But I don't want to go down the route into religion today. That's going to be a whole nother topic because that's going
Yeah.
to take a lot of time up.
Yeah.
But let's say, I don't know, let's just throw out Christmas, stopping the contract of Christmas, stopping some holidays, that don't serve you
Well,
a purpose? Like,
I,
what is,
I
I'm
think,
just asking.
yeah, once you kind of pull that energy out of your own system, you can kind of see, you can either continue to move into the celebration of Christmas because you like um, the energy of it, you like the
Mhm.
positive aspects of it, or
Can you create your own little tradition during that time instead?
yeah,
Because your
yeah,
family's, it's creating what is comfortable for your soul.
yeah, and it's not like you have to go and reject things. It's like
Right.
you just see it different.
Right.
That's all. You just see it different, and it's you create like a new
New tradition.
system for yourself, a new appreciation, or new traditions, just like you said.
Yeah, because a
But
lot of it is manifestation too, with the
yeah.
thoughts, because our thoughts create are part of manifestation too.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, let me give you something. Let me give you an example of something. I helped someone stop smoking, and um, she she came in twice. The first time she stopped for a few days, and then she had a cigarette, and then she eventually started smoking again, but not to the same level. She was, Leanne, I'm gonna come back because if it worked for a day, if it worked for a few days, and I'm not as bad, I know that we can get the rest of it. And what actually made her stop smoking were a handful of things. But the second time, what I incorporated was cutting contracts, cutting contracts with advertising, cutting contracts with the idea that smoking is relaxing, cutting contracts with the idea that you need it, that it's a crutch, or that it actually offers you freedom. Like if you step over here and you have a cigarette, you can get away from it's like a mini vacation from your life, but you're over here damaging yourself, as but so I had to the main thing that I think got her the most is cutting the contracts with the ideas of smoking, and cutting the contracts with the cigarette companies, with the materials that were in the cigarettes, and then the advertising.
amazing. And she stopped.
And she stopped. She never smoked again after that day.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's amazing. Remember back in the day, speaking about back in the days, Schick? They used to electrocute people when they would smoke some places. Do you remember this? They would put you in a room for and you would smoke as much as you could for an hour or half hour or whatever until you got really sick. And that was supposed to be a way to stop people from smoking. They also had electrical stuff going on. I don't know if the Schick did, but this
Oh
company called
yeah.
Schick, it
I
could be called,
like
it should have been called Shtick. It was a shtick, a scam. I, I don't see the I think they wanted to make people so sick with the nicotine. Well, it's not the nicotine, it's the toxins in it.
yeah, the Schick centers to stop smoking. And remember
Yeah,
the hypnosis? That's when hypnosis got really big.
right.
When
Yeah.
people wanted to stop smoking. And remember that, like in my day, that they had smoking sections in school. The
And
kids
in
could
the
smoke.
play. Oh, yeah. We used to do it at the field. It was called the field. It would all go back. Cloves, back in because we're not too far apart in age. And cloves, we used to smoke. Cloves were the big thing. Cloves.
The closed
And
cigarettes.
yeah, but then some kids, I got something with their lungs, a hole in the lung from the clove. I don't know. Hey, at least it was an herb, right? Or
Something
it
natural.
was a spice, whatever, a plant. I think it's actually a branch. It's like wood, isn't clove?
Oh, it might be. It might be little nodules or knobs on a branch.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, or yeah, the little things reminds me of cinnamon. But it's power of suggestion, and that's along the lines of hypnosis and manifestation.
Yeah.
But if people knew how to if we taught people how to spin their particles, which is part of Chi again, because part of Chi is part of manifestation. Part of Chi is,
Remember how you explained
yeah.
manifesting that one time where, this the particles and it creates an electromagnetic field. Kind of say that again to the best of your memory.
Okay, well, it's funny because I've been working on, I don't know if you can see, but I have notes and notes. So the way I learn, I have to learn is through repetition and writing information down. And plus, I'm going to be on a tomorrow, I'm going to be on the skeptic, what is it? Skeptic podcast. And I wanted to bring up Partakai because what happens is when you have the smallest unit of consciousness and it breaks down into subparticles, and this creates fission and fusion. So fission is the separation and the fusion comes back, and that creates oscillation. And within this, there's something called flashline sequences. And so this is also connected to scalar waves. So this is it's expansion and growth. So this Partakai grids create this. I'm going to look at my notes because I want to give people the exact name. It's called Partakai phasing. So these threads of scalar waves create a carpeted unit of scalar waves. And so this creates a manifestation grid. So these lights are going off and it's spinning and there's all this, it's so fast, it's moving and moving and moving. And so this is where manifestation comes in. This is what gives you the hologram effect of our silicate time matrix. And this is also this is what is learned in Keylontic Science. And our particles on Earth spin half the speed of parallel Earth. Parallel Earth spins really fast with Partica, and it's twice the speed. So in parallel Earth spins, they're Partica. They still have Partica and particles. It's just that their universe is Partica. It spins really, really, really fast. So they can manifest consciousness really, really fast. But here on where we are, it's slower moving, it's more dense. So the way we spin is slower to manifest. So we can't manifest as fast as parallel Earth. So in the ascension, we're coming together. So this is why time is speeding up, because on parallel Earth, there's different time vectors, okay? And so there's about 6 different time continuums, and those are called pardos. And those break down into different time set vectors, but we are connected to time vectors with our fire codes in us, which are crystals too, the crystal stars. And so this is why the work we're doing is trying to clear distortions so people can get a better signal to heal their fire codes, so we can ascend and get things activated for the ascension. And as you accrete it and we heal people, as you're healing, you're repairing your fire code sequences. And so then your particles are spinning faster. So you're able to manifest quicker. I'm sorry. It's hard to say one thing and not go into the other, because
that was a
connected.
beautiful stream of consciousness there. That's exactly what I was hoping to bring out, is that whole explanation.
There's more science. It is a science, and it goes deeper because but that's just a real quick version of it. It's hard for people to comprehend this. It sounds like a different language because the frequency is really high with the words that we use. And so once you start to activate, you'll understand the words and what they mean, because words hold tones. Words hold electrotonal frequency. This is why what we put in our minds on the like news and stuff, it's really important what you feed your mind, because you're putting those thoughts in your world. And if you want to spin your particles faster and manifest and heal some of your DNA to get a your fire codes going, then you got to you feed your mind things that have a purpose. I was just talking to someone just messaged me and said, do you teach classes? And it's so funny because I keep thinking, I sure advertise a lot. I put out so much stuff and content, and I'm like, obviously it's not getting to people.
Yeah,
Someone
you
said,
do have to say things over and over and over, and you do have to put it out over and over and over. And the more you do, the more people will find you. And your classes are very good. And
thank you, thank
I
you.
learned a lot.
I'm so
And
glad. I'm so glad you were there. It was really great. Someone said, you should be a healer. It's so funny. I just love that. I'm like, oh, well, funny because I am actually, so they didn't get the memo. And I thank you for being part of our class. You and everyone who joined us added something to the workshop, and similar to what the content we learn, that sometimes I just go with the flow, and I don't. In the very beginning, I know what I'm going to be teaching in the first 2 weeks, and then I wait, and it comes to me, and I'm like, "Yep, that's it."
mhm.
You just get this. You get. I feel I'm fairly connected, and I don't claim to be a medium. I just connect, on these higher realms, and my higher selves, and I trust all my higher selves, and so I'm able to put out information or pull in information for people at that time. And I am teaching and doing another workshop. It'll be 3 weeks long this time instead of 6. And I'm also doing a practitioner or facilitators workshop too, to teach the same information for the Pulse to Consciousness workshop, but bringing in with the facilitators the songs, PSONNS, songs and codes, so they can start doing their coding and activating their DNA and clearing, like the Jehovah's seals. So when they're working with their clients, they are sharing that with them, teaching it, bringing a higher magnetic electrotonic energy with their healing, because it stays with our energy around in our morphogenetic fields. We have these outer chakras that are called morphogenetic fields. So when you are working with someone, they feel it too. They feel that healing.
Very good. And this is being recorded right around the 1st of July. And when does your next class start?
So I have to pull up my calendar here. So let's toss some dates, and I'll put some, I'm running an advertisement on this recording. So the workshop for Pulse to Consciousness is 3 Wednesdays in a row, and that will be the 17th, 24th, and 31st of July. And for the practitioners, that's a Wednesday again at 7. And for facilitators, it will be at 7 on Mondays, the 22nd, 29th, and August 5th.
Yeah, and to be able to be in those classes, you need to be able to take the basic class first.
Well, the facilitators will have the basics with it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Very
so good. Yeah, because you have to know, just like me explaining Partica, you have to know you need to know the mechanics.
Right.
And I brought this up with med beds too, and that's a whole nother topic, that you just don't jump into something without knowing the mechanics, who's going to be working on your energy, and who they stand for, what they study. You don't want to reverse your coding once it's been repaired.
Well, there's a whole topic on med beds, and there's a whole topic on layers and levels of med beds and how they work. So it is true that you want to know like what is affecting you before you do it. I mean, especially after you go through the trouble of making sure that you're clear. The way that I understand it in like the Palladian med beds is, you know how we have ether on the earth, right? And the buildings that, you know, were churches and built in the 1700s or whatever.
Hmm.
I mean, they have the ability to harness the ether and use it for power, use it for electricity and that kind of thing. And the people actually, there were no bathrooms and there were no kitchens that were built into these homes, into the buildings, and so there was a lot of frequency. I think that
Hmm.
most lived on the energy, and the that same type of energy is all over in the cosmos too, in the form of plasma. And I think that you can, just like with the shapes of those buildings and the spires and the crosses and the
Hmm.
fleur de lis, they could harness the ether and direct it. I think the med beds are similar. They can harness the plasma and direct it. And the plasma is has a nature, you know, an intelligence, because it's consciousness. You can harness and direct that consciousness to read an energetic template and be able to decipher what the perfection of the energetic template is, and then compare it to what exists, and then fill in the gaps. And that's what I understand the med beds to be. But I know that there's lots of layers, levels, and ways that med beds operate. You know, just like the scalar technologies with like the EE systems, those are completely different.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
and then
I don't want to step into something that I don't know because we're pulling out of a system. I don't want to go back into technology. I'm not
yeah,
sure of. I don't know where it comes from. We don't have. I mean, I hear it been talked and talked and talked about for years and years and years in the
yeah,
military, this and the military that. And you know, at this point, I'm bringing my own frequency up in with a different technique. I feel comfortable with that.
yeah. You're doing it the old fashioned way. You're
Ancient, very. I'm vintage girl the way I like ancient stuff,
and you
right?
know, it's true, because you know you're taking you're taking the template you have now and moving it into more of a perfected template. So it's the same thing, but you're doing it organically, and you're doing it with your own intention and your own frequency, and you're not there's no outer energies that are coming in to assist you. Well, there probably is, like with your own spirit and that kind of thing, but anyway,
Right.
it's not.
It's at a different realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a connection, and I just we inherently have this in our memory and our DNA, and once things
Mm,
get activated, and that's why I have it because I am activated. Indigos are born with the sixth strand activated. Now,
mm-hmm,
but it gets suppressed through indoctrinations and medications and chemicals and all that
mm-hmm.
kind of malarkey. And so once you get reactivated, these memories come in, you know, and so I just don't know. And I'm not saying that I just want to know the technology. You know, and nothing's wrong. I mean, we should know technology if we're going to use it because we're in a war with technology. We're in a war with consciousness right now. We're in a
Mm-hmm,
spiritual battle with it. And
mm-hmm.
so, where are they hosting wanting to take our consciousness and host it into the cloud? I mean, Colorado just made a law that you're not allowed to take brain, you know, with the devices that monitor your brain waves and your heart rate and your pulse and your sleeping, that they're not allowed to take that content because that content would be used for building consciousness, taking people's consciousness, part of that's the template that they're going to work with for creating part of transhumanism. That's what I feel.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, now we're talking about something different, but yeah, definitely. Um, there's
That's a whole
you can
nother.
take this conversation in so many ways.
I know, and we should probably. I know I've taken a lot of your time, but maybe that can be our next our next talk, we could talk about, these last two things we brought up, which would be med beds and transhumanism. And maybe we could, get another perspective, and someone can come on the show, because with the type of studying I do with Keylontic Science, I've heard one time about med beds and that technology to be careful. So I got a warning.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, you really be careful with anything that's going to influence your energy. And I agree. I agree.
that's even relationships, because even kissing, you're taking on someone's DNA, even if you kiss.
That's
So
true.
if you're going to take on someone's DNA, you better know where that DNA came from. Have they done their work? Have they started repairing their cells?
We'll find out.
I know. Part
Inquiring minds
two.
want to know.
That's
Well,
right,
this has been
Leon.
a really good conversation. There's lots of great topics to talk about.
So
This
much
was a
to
lot of
talk.
fun. And I really enjoy how you can explain the mechanics of the particles of the universe and how they combine to create manifestation and light and magnetics and sound and frequency and form and all that stuff. I love how you do that. And I'm glad we got that into the conversation.
Well, thank you so much for being here today. You bring so much to the conversation. I couldn't do this alone without you. And you bring up consciousness to the next level, Lea Anne. Your
Oh, thank you.
consciousness, how high are you? You're pretty damn high.
Oh,
Thank
so
you.
are you. Thank you.
Thank you. I love you. And thank you for joining us today with Pulse to Consciousness. How high are you? This has been a production with Angelic Realms. Thank you, and we love you. Mwah.